Welcome to Credit Talk with your host, Nestor Salgado. You have credit issues? Give us a call, 702 720 4439. This is Nestor here with Fix My Credit. Obviously, I'm always looking for the sharpest, brightest people to give you some fresh content. And today, folks, let me tell you, you guys are in for a treat. I have Bernard here. Bernard has been in industry for many years. He does commercial lending. So, Bernard, tell me a little bit more about yourself.
Sure. Well, thank you for inviting me. I appreciate it, and hello to all the folks listening and watching. I'm a commercial lender. I've been in the business for almost 30 years now.
All right. Welcome, affiliate.
Originated my career in the Silicon Valley. I was in the financial district in San Francisco. I relocated to Las Vegas almost 20 years ago, looking for a change. It was a pretty pricey to live in Silicon Valley. I'm really excited to be part of the Vegas community because I feel like a lot of folks out here, try to speak to my true passion, which is helping, being there for customers when you need me. I try to be a little proactive. I think my role in the bank that I serve right now is to make sure that the community has resources in front of them so they can succeed. A lot of our clients and the community really want to have good information in front of them so they can make some money and have a good life. So that's kind of what I'm here for.
Nice. Now, the bank. If you could tell me a little bit more about the bank. I was actually one of your mixers, I believe, like a month ago, and
You like it? Did you have fun?
I had a great time. Thank you. We ran into my wife's professor, which was kind of cool, and she teaches, MBA, EMBA program at UNLV, and she was kind of excited to see one of her students there mixing it up, and it was just weird. I go, "Hey, how'd you get here?" He goes, "Oh, Bernard." I'm like, "This guy knows everybody." We had a good time, and especially that free link where small business owners could go there and get educated about, any type of subject. I thought that was really helpful. But thank you. So if you want to tell a little bit more about your bank.
Sure. Well, I'm glad you attended the event because it's kind of what we're out here in the community to do is to provide, like I said earlier, resources. But Enterprise Bank and Trust has been around since 1988. We're headquartered in Missouri. We have about 47 branches. We're located in 10 states here on the West Coast. We're in California, Arizona, and obviously Nevada. I think the big thing of why I just decided to come to this bank is because we're based in the Midwest, we have a lot of those Midwest values. And because they made a decision to come into the West, where my personal goal is to add a little West Coast flair to what the bank is doing. We're about 12 billion in assets, and our parent company is Enterprise Financial Services Corporation. It's a boutique bank where we pretty much offer commercial services. So if you are interested in just doing personal banking, we're probably not going to be the right fit for you. However, if you're a business owner who has some personal banking needs, we're definitely there to help you. There's a variety of services that we can offer. We do wealth management, which includes financial planning, estate planning, investment management, and trust services to either businesses, individuals, institutions, retirement plans, nonprofits. We also have specialty banking available to our community, and that also includes third-party escrow, homeowner association, property management, and SBA lending. We are the seventh for the number 7 in terms of overall ranking in our SBA lending in the nation. And so you're still be able to get a boutique feel, but we do have a breadth of services that we can offer the community.
Okay, nice. Now, you did touch upon SBA, and
Mhm.
everybody that obviously is in the small business world obviously would like to obtain that type of loan because it's stretched out for over 30 years, if I'm right, or maybe 20, 30 years. Is that correct? With SBA
Yeah,
loans?
Well, I mean, it really depends on the type of
Mhm.
SBA loan that you're looking for,
Okay.
Nestor. We have two types. If we can do either real estate or non-real estate. If you're going to do anything that doesn't include real estate, you're going to be looking at terms up to 10 years.
Okay.
If it is real estate related, then you're looking at terms up to 25 years.
Okay, okay, perfect. Okay. So now let's say for instance that if I came to you and I wasn't educated about, how to obtain one of those loans, what would be the first things that you would, let's say if you were in front of a crowd of people educating them as far as like, listen, Bernard, I would like to get there, but what is the minimum things that I need before I get to sit down with you?
Yeah, that's a good question. That's such a loaded question. And I say that because, I've been doing this for a while, like I mentioned, and sometimes you have businesses who come to us and they're looking for something very specific. And I'd say the first place for anybody to start is try to get a relationship started before you actually need money. And I'll tell you, for those of you who were around during the PPP days, a lot of our borrowers were out there in the community struggling because they didn't have a relationship with the bank. So they didn't know who to go to, what the process was going to be like. And some
Right.
of them were left online and searching, on the internet. And if they were part of a bigger bank, they may not they maybe weren't able to speak to anybody because the bankers were a little overwhelmed or they didn't have any information to share with the community. So why don't we start off with relationships? And how do you start that relationship? I mean,
Okay.
honestly, it's really just getting to know who your banker is and giving them a chance to get to know you and get to know your personality and get to know your business and
Mhm.
what your true needs are so that we can be proactive, and we're able to kind of attack when you need us to attack. And we've done our research because everyone knows who have tried to apply for any kind of loans. It's a pretty timely process, right?
Right.
So because of that, yeah, I always say start early. So I think that's number one. So get a relationship going. And then number two, I think it's probably important to have your information together. I'll give you a quick story. When I was in Silicon Valley, now this is back in the 90s, so I'm going to date myself here, but back in the day, bro, you had a lot of borrowers who approached banks and they would knock on the door of their banker and try to apply for money. And they really were walking in there blindly. And I recommended my borrowers to get a binder. And in that binder, you would have a couple tabs. And in the tab, you would include all the information that lenders usually need from you, whether that be your tax returns or maybe a copy of your resume,
Mhm.
um, your business plan. But the point is to have it prepared. And when it's organized, can you imagine as a lender, you have a number of applicants who are coming to you, and people always say, well, why does a bank take so long? Usually we have to package it and get it to the right folks, so we can make a decision. But when it's all over the place, it's a little bit harder for or more challenging for us to kind of get that package into the decision process. So in today's world, you're not going to probably walk around with a big binder, but just having an electronic file, have all your folders organized. And if you want, I can go through what constitutes a package. But the main thing is just understanding if you're going to apply for an SBA loan, that this is government backed.
Right.
So because of that, there's going to be a lot of paperwork. But if you have a good relationship with your banker, we can kind of walk you through and get you, ready for that and keep it organized.
Right. So this goes out to my realtor friends. Not to pick on you guys. Obviously, that's telling you to get your taxes in order, right? P&L, right? And a good balance sheet. I know because that's what my wife's always saying. Hey, they have to be organized, right? And I think that, as an entrepreneur, that's one of the things that all these banks look at, right? The easier for them to look at your bottom, what you're making, what's going in is going out. It's how they're going to determine, right?
Yeah.
The
I mean,
basics, right?
Nestor, easier said than done, right? I mean,
Yeah.
how it's a lot of work,
Right.
but I always say to a lot of the folks in the community, spend the time now and get with people like me or Nestor or anybody
Mhm.
who you trust in the financial space and say, let's start working on getting this information together so that when I do need it, it's organized and neat.
Right. And I'm going to
Complete.
go, right. I'm going to go back to what you're saying is building relationships, right? You have
Right.
to go out there and talk to people, right? You have to go out there and say, hey, I'm in this kind of industry because you never know. We might need your product or you actually might have a question regarding real estate or whatever, right? All we're doing is just transferring information, and we say, you know what, Bernard's a good guy. I'd work with them. I could trust them, and that's how the relationships happen. That's what I see it as, right?
Yeah, can I share a story with you?
Absolutely.
So back in when I was in Silicon Valley, my grandfather, I called him Papa, right? My Papa,
Hmm.
he's from the Philippines and
Hmm.
moved from the Philippines and went to Hawaii. And when he passed away, he left me as the executor to his estate. And it was a lot of work to try to understand. I was 19 years old, full-time college student, working in the bank full-time. And I was really lost. And the point is that he had a, a banker that he would go see. And sometimes we would wait hours to go see this banker. And I never understood why he wanted to wait for so long. I go, Papa, there's so many other bankers that you can talk to. But, it was not as hot as Vegas, but like 80, 90, sometimes 100
Sure.
degrees, I guess sometimes in the backseat of the car, we're waiting to see the banker. So let's fast forward. He passes away, and I didn't understand how to do half of the stuff that was needed when it came to financial affairs. But guess who was standing next to me? It was that banker friend that
Right.
he met with. She was Filipina like he was, but it's not like they were talking in a Filipino dialect. They were. It was just comfort, and
Right.
that's important. And I share that story because I'm starting to understand how truly valuable your relationship with your trusted advisors are.
Right.
So if you can sit there and have a good conversation with them, and they're going to just keep it real and let you know what's important. I think that's important. That's critical to a business success, is having advisors around you that trust you. You do that with your doctors and your lawyers and your CPAs. Include those bankers in there, because when you need access to capital, it helps a lot. I don't think a lot of people realize how much it helps, but I'd rather help somebody who I know, because I feel
Right.
vested. I
Right.
don't want you to fail, Nestor, because we get along. I know your kids.
Right.
I've gone to your parties, and I'm
Yeah.
going to see you at another party again. I've got to make sure I take care of you, so you don't
Right.
give me a hard time at the party. So
And I appreciate that. So no, that is very valuable information. So moving on, tell me about your Vegas experience. What is the biggest, obviously, deals that you put together that you're proud of, or somebody that actually kind of touched you, that you felt like, man, you know what? Let me see if I can help this person, and you actually made the deal happen for them, and you see them succeed. If you could just touch on that a little bit.
there's a couple stories.
Okay,
So
perfect.
first off, I want to share with you. There's a gentleman who I've known since I moved here. I do a lot of cold calls, and obviously, as I'm aging in the business, I get more referrals, and it makes my life easier. But I picked up the phone when I first moved here almost 20 years ago and cold called a guy, and he's grown. His company has tremendously grown over the years. But one of the things that he did, which I loved, is he listened to this advice where I told him, "Hey, man, you got to know your ratios." And he goes, "What do you mean your ratios?" And I said, "Well, it would be helpful if you understood how the banks calculated your bankability."
Hmm.
And we have a thing called the debt service coverage ratio, where we're basically assessing your ability to pay the bank back.
Right.
And in a nutshell, and I don't want to overwhelm a lot of you out there, but for every dollar of debt payments that you have, the bank wants to see that you have $1.25 of cash available to offset that dollar of debt payment. And it's not cash sitting in your accounts; it's cash that's reflecting in your tax returns historically over a few years. So what I told this borrower to do was, run your calculations. So we created a spreadsheet for him where he can plug in the numbers right off of his tax returns. And he's not savvy when it comes to his, like, he's not an accountant guy, but
Right.
he figured it out. And every time he approaches a lender now, he runs his ratios and he knows exactly what his debt coverage ratio is. And that's an important thing to have, is walking into those meetings knowing, hey, I should be getting a pretty decent rate because I know my ratios are strong.
Hmm.
But that's one story. The other thing, you had asked about some deals that we're proud of putting together. Our firm just did a $22 million construction project here in the west side of town.
Wow.
And we're also, in about a week to 2 weeks, we should probably early next week, we should be booking a $19 million refinance request, where we refinanced some aircraft for a company here in town. But we do a variety of things. I think those are the ones I'm probably the most proud of, just from a size perspective, because we're really helping our business clients with something of that size. But we do lines of credits, 500,000 as well. We're not doing all these. We do a variety of sizes, what I'm trying to say.
Gotcha.
Um, But there is one final story that I'm really proud of. If you don't mind me sharing it, Nestor, is that
No,
okay? You got time?
please go ahead. Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
There's a gentleman who owns a company, and the branch, when I worked for another bank, had asked me to go see the client. So I went to go see him, and before the meeting, they were actually meeting to just open up their accounts. And I went to the meeting, and I looked over his tax returns prior to the meeting. And when I looked at the returns, I saw some pretty interesting scenarios that I wanted to share with him. So
Hmm.
we get to the borrower or to the client's business. And as they were finishing off their document signings and everything, I said, "Hey, do you mind? First of all, thank you for letting me join the meeting. But if you don't mind, I wanted to share something. I was digging into your tax returns, and I noticed that you pay a pretty sizable amount of rent." And he goes, "Oh, I'll stop you right there. I didn't know what you're going to tell me. I don't want to buy." And I said, "Oh, well, what happened? How did you reach that conclusion?" He said, "Well, I talked about this, with another bank in town, and they declined me for a loan to buy a building."
Right.
And I said, "Well, how long ago was that? Was it more than 3 years ago?" "Yeah, it was." And I said, "Well, the reason I asked you that question and why I even bring it up is because over the last 3 years, you're trending in an upward direction, and I calculated your ratios, and you can actually move into a building for anywhere between $1 to $1.2 million purchase,
Hmm.
and your mortgage is going to be substantially less than your current rent payment." And he freaked out. He didn't believe me, and it made sense because a few years ago his business wasn't performing as well as it has as today.
Right.
And so what we did is we got him into a building where he operated his business on one side, and it was big enough where he had a warehouse next door that he could operate, and he was able to diversify his income streams by doing other things on that side space. So that's kind of something I'm proud of, because we talked earlier about relationships, and
Right.
because that guy trusted me, I went to go see the building a year later, gave me a tour. He was so happy, and that's kind of stuff makes me proud, because
Right.
you figure a guy would have been slaving away paying somebody else's mortgage, and he didn't even know, he didn't even bother to take a look at his. I mean, he knew he was making money, but he was already declined, so he goes,
Right.
"I'm not going to approach a bank anymore." But that made me really happy, so I felt like that experience made me realize, okay, this is what I'm in the business for.
Exactly. I mean, just like you said, I mean, he's paying high rents, and obviously, rents have gone up ever since 3 years ago, and then obviously now he's locked into his building where he's just paid a certain fixed amount, and it's his, right? And then
Yep.
he could actually do some other stuff, like you're saying, actually spin off and make other money, which is really good, right?
Yeah.
Now, I want to touch a little bit. I think that your CEO said that you guys, I don't know if I'm saying this wrong, that you guys gifted some money for a hospital in Pahrump, or if you want to talk about that a little bit, 'cause I know,
Well,
it's
without going into the details, I think overall what I like to share is,
mhm,
we're actively engaged in the community, and
fair enough.
we yeah, we want to go out there, and there's a lot of different ways that we can help. And I think if just like today, what we're doing today is, I'm not closing a transaction with you today, but I'm helping the community out. And
Absolutely.
I myself, I serve on three or I'm sorry, I serve on five boards, and
Wow.
we're out there trying to find ways to make a bigger impact in what we're trying to do here. So, but there's also areas where we can help you, whether it be, contributing to a board or giving grant funds for various causes.
Right.
But also, we might be able to help with tax incentives. There's programs out there as a business owner or a nonprofit where there might be funds that you might have access to that you're not aware of.
Right.
And it's, we want to be there to help you out.
Right.
So, but yeah, we have a community impact report. For those of you who are interested, you can hop on, just Google Enterprise Bank and Trust, and you can kind of click on the community impact to see some of the things that we're doing in the community and the various causes that we're supporting.
That's good. Obviously, the way I see that I give back to my affiliates, which are the realtors and the loan officers, is by getting great people like yourself, right? And getting them out there in front of them for them to expand their mind to see that it is capable of actually going out there and thinking bigger. And there's resources out there for you and for me and for everybody else, right? I've had my life insurance agent, she talked about, wealth accumulation and whatnot. It's a relationship I have with her for many years. I brought on an attorney that does debt consolidation, and he was on the other end, right, where he actually was hired by big corporations to sue people, right? So,
Yeah.
I bring him in here so that way, in case some people out there, like the realtors, need somebody, guess what? You could go to Bernard here. So, Bernard, tell us how they could get a hold of you. Tell me a little bit more about the products as far as construction loans, right? I'm sure you do refi. If you just like a little plug-in as far as what you do, so that way if they need your service, because I know a lot of realtors talk to people, business people, that they can reach out to you. How do they get a hold
Sure.
of you?
Sure. I'm gonna let me share that. But before I do, you were talking a little bit about what you do, and I wanted to just say that
Hmm.
just looking from the outside in, some of the things that you do in the community, Nestor, you're there, man. Everyone knows who you are,
Thank you.
and you build relationships with people, and clearly you're passionate about what you do. And now that you're transitioning to this side of the business, where you're actually helping folks with not just a transaction, but getting them prepared for
Right.
the transaction, so that the end game is actually something positive. So yeah, I just want to give some kudos and shout out to the work that you've been doing in the community. And we're all proud of you, man. And we appreciate
Thank you, brother.
what you're doing. Yep, of course, man. So, oh man, I blanked out. You asked me,
A little bit about your products,
oh,
in
how they get
case
in
how to
contact
get a
with you.
hold of you and what you guys
Yeah.
offer.
So I'm all over social media. So if you type in my name, you can find me. You kind of get an idea of what I'm doing in the space. But you can email, you can call me. My cell phone, 702-279-5721.
Hmm.
Probably start there, and you can drop me a text message. But ultimately, I'm a commercial lender. And what that means is I am responsible for generating business. And I also manage a portfolio of clients. And that's an important thing, because you don't want to just be another number
Right.
to a bank. We're fairly new to here to the Valley, which is an exciting thing. I mean, a lot of folks don't know our brand, but I think what's nice about that is I'm building my portfolio of clients right now. So I really do get to hand choose who I'm doing business with, and I enjoy that process, because I know you're out there. I know you're looking for, some good advice, and maybe it's not something that you and I are going to be able to transact on today, but I'm not interested in the transaction. What I want to do is just build a relationship with our community, continue to offer any kind of help around the services that we offer. So you had asked, like, what kind of services that we offer or
Right.
products that we
Hmm.
offer. Ultimately, as a commercial lender, I'm going to get out there and try to help you find the right loan. I'll have folks who come to me and say, "Hey, I need an SBA loan." And I'll start asking questions. Well, why do we start with the SBA loan? What's the reason?
Hmm.
Oh, I just heard that, that's a better program. So
Right.
then we ask them, well, what are you looking to do? Because when I ask that question, we might find out that that borrower might be better off in a conventional product.
Right.
The SBA product is very popular for a lot of folks because it minimizes the risk for the bank, because the government is going to guarantee a certain portion of that loan.
Right.
And so if you default on the loan, it makes it less riskier for the bank because of the government backing. But not all scenarios require that. Some folks need the SBA because maybe they're lacking collateral. Maybe there's some challenges. Well, whatever the challenges
Right.
is we can find you a program, whether it's SBA or maybe we go outside of the banking space and we introduce you to a community partner who might be able to do what you're interested in doing. But ultimately, we do equipment financing. So I had a doctor one time. He needed to buy a vehicle, and we helped him purchase his vehicle, and we did it under the name of the business because he does drive a lot. For the vehicles used
Right.
for business purposes, or if you need a line of credit, there's a business who they're growing so fast right now, and
Hmm.
without that line of credit, they just can't take on projects. So we were able to get a $500,000 line for him to start taking on bigger projects and not have to worry about impacting cash flow. Or maybe the person just wants to consolidate debt, or maybe they want to do a partner buyout or a business acquisition. Or maybe they want, hey, I got a couple of Silicon Valley engineers who are now looking to purchase investment properties here, commercial properties. They
Right.
want apartment complexes because they want to now transition to passive income as they transition into the retirement stage of their life. So as you can tell, there's a variety of things that
Right.
we can offer. But I think the big thing is just sitting down and saying, well, what are your goals? What do you want to
Right.
accomplish? And let's find something for you. You might not even think you need to borrow any money right now, or maybe you do. So it's really just that, friendly advice, your
Right.
neighborhood business banker that's going to kind of walk you through scenarios. Hopefully I answered your question.
You did, and one thing that I know that you're very approachable, because when people say, "Hey, I got to go talk to this commercial lender," they just feel a little intimidated, right? But I've seen you work the room. I see how people talk to you, and they look up to you, you respect it. So, everybody that's out there listening to this, as far as affiliates, and they're going to be getting this in a newsletter, you reach out to them. Reach out to Bernard. Obviously, he may not respond to you right away because obviously we get busy, but I'm sure that he'll have an answer for what you're looking for. Or even if your clients have some information or they're looking for a product, I'm sure he could point you to the right place, right?
Yeah, I appreciate that. And I'll tell you right now, look, when I went to college, I studied journalism and political science, and
Hmm.
my minor was Asian American studies. I share that because, the world of business, as I was going through college, I worked full time while I set myself through school. And I didn't have an interest in staying in the banking space. I wanted to go to law school. I wanted to change the world. That was my goal, right? Like I
Hmm.
wanted to make an impact. That was what I wanted to do. And I thought being a lawyer, maybe even venturing into politics, that might be how I'm going to change the world. But I started to realize after all those years I went to college working, I had all these years of experience in the banking space, and they helped me. They helped me buy my first home. They helped me get my financial affairs together because my family, they weren't professionals. My mom was
Right.
a maid, my dad was a janitor, and for what that taught me was a little bit about work ethic, and also it broadened, because of what I studied, it broadened my scope of what I know. So my
Hmm.
point is that I was new to the world of business by transitioning into this world, and I know a lot of you out there, you may not know all the business verbiage, and that's not what we want. We want you to know your business, which
Right.
you know your business, whatever it is that you're doing with your hands or the service you're providing, that well. We're not going to come in there and tell you how to do that, but what we are going to do is introduce all these business concepts that are going to hopefully make your life more fulfilling, and you can reach your financial goals a little bit easier. But I appreciate you saying that, Nestor, because I can say the same with you. And we know how important it is to engage with the community because
Right.
people need our help. So that's all we want to do is help.
Absolutely, absolutely. I wanted to thank you for coming on, to Friday Credit Talk. And obviously, when we have a mixture coming up here shortly, I'd like to invite you so that way
Absolutely.
I could introduce you to, the realtors, obviously lenders, and you could network and, obviously get some business going. And, that's how we all help people. And obviously, we make money too, right?
Absolutely, man. Well, hey, thank you for inviting me, and say hello
Yes,
to your
sir.
kids and your wife. We
Likewise.
know that the community loves you, man. So thank you for letting me be here. I appreciate you.
Thank you for showing up. And then I'll have your contact information down below. So that way they'll have your number and then your email, if that's okay. And then obviously the name of your bank. Okay.
Absolutely, brother.
Brother, take care. Have a great weekend now.
Okay. All right. Thanks a
All
lot.
right. Take care, buddy.
Okay.
All right.